Hello and welcome to the Irish Independence look ahead to another weekend of action in the League of Ireland. I'm here with Sean O'Connor, football writer, and Sean, Dublin derby again taking the focus this weekend. Managers in the news. Damien Duff suspended for this game away to Bohemians. Bohemians aside in form, and it's probably different mood music to the last time they met, where Bows are now the team in form.
Yeah, absolute cracking fixture to look forward to. It seems like every week there's a Dublin derby, but this is really such an exciting game to look forward to. I was at the last game in Tulka, the last time the sides met, think around the middle of April, and there wasn't much between the sides that night. Not much in the first half. Shells much better in the second half. Mipo Odebeko getting a late goal for the bragging rights, for the derby bragging rights, and after that loss, Bows were on a couple of defeats in a row. Results weren't going their way, and you were kind of thinking, like, where are things going here? There's a lot of pressure on the team. But since then, who could have imagined the last couple of results? 5 wins out of their last 6, 5 late winners, all the 5 winners coming after the 85th minute. One in the 96, one in the 97. So it's been an incredible turnaround for them. But just this derby, there's usually not much between the sides. Bows have won a couple, gone back the last few. Shells have won a couple. Shells looking to get that momentum back. I know I was speaking to Adam Reynolds this week. Lys Mousset got his long-awaited debut goal last Saturday to give Bows the 3 points away to Sligo. And you're just hoping for him to kick on. Now, we were asking Adam Reynolds, is Mousset fit to start? A little bit of a doubt over Collie Whelan coming into this game. The expectation is that Lys Mousset may not be that ready to start. Might be more of a impact player off the bench, but nevertheless, all the Bows fans, I saw one funny tweet saying, oh, I knew carrying this French flag around for a couple of weeks would pay off. A long way to go for him. They'll hope for him to kick on. Speaking of Adam Reynolds, you can see almost 100 Premier League appearances Lys Mousset has. He says you can see glimpses of quality now. It's just about keeping work, and fitness is an issue for him. So they're hoping to see him kick on. But just on this game in particular, at Dalymount, Damien Duff suspended, of course. Will that change things? I know Gerard O'Brien will assume his responsibilities, but a cracking Dublin derby to look forward to.
And Chelsea, I suppose, looking to build on carry momentum from last week's game, but the other game in Dublin, St Pat's at home to Cork City. St Pat's trying to get that momentum. They've had a difficult couple of weeks. Chris Forrester had an injury last week. Stephen Kenny spoke about it recently. He'll be out at least till the break, and the background behind that, Stephen Kenny wasn't happy about it. But for Pats, I suppose there is a danger of Cork getting that new manager bounce.
Yeah, I see. We've seen the new manager bounce, or I suppose if you really want to be specific, the inter-manager bounce with Waterford, 7 defeats in a row, and now winning 3-4 on the bounce. For Pats, it was a solid start to the season, but just the last few weeks have been tricky results. They're probably looking for a lot more from the likes of Zach Albusetti and Jake Mulroney. Haven't been producing as much as the home fans would have liked. So there will be a little bit of pressure. I think the last time I saw Pats, they beat Galway 2-0, but Galway missed a rake of chances in the second half. Moses Dyer missed pretty much an open goal. It could have been a lot different that night. Coming off the back of a few tricky results, Stephen Kenny's side, I know you were speaking to Stephen Kenny this week, they want to just big home crowd expectation. On paper, you'd be putting Pats down for the win here, but we know in this league, absolutely anything can happen, and there is no easy, I know it's a cliche, but there is no easy game. Cork coming into the game in 9th, poor run of form, Tim Clancy leaving last week. But anything can happen.
I know that's a big focus on the Dublin teams, but the 2 teams in form at the moment are probably Waterford. Before John Coleman came in, had form. They've carried that on under him, and Derry City, who look unrecognisable from the start of the season. And so you have Waterford at home to Shamrock Rovers. Added into the mix of that, with Josh Honan called up to the senior Irish squad this week, and Derry going to Drogheda. And Derry, I suppose, looking to keep up. Drogheda looking a bit exposed the last few weeks, conceding a lot of goals, a lot of questions being asked of them. And Derry, I suppose this is a big chance. If Derry are going to be contenders, can they go to Drogheda and win?
Yeah, great moment for Josh Honahan this week. Hamer Helgrimson speaking on Wednesday, very complimentary of him, saying he was obviously on standby in March, but he obviously highly complimentary of his qualities, but he said usually when you bring players in and put them with training with Championship Premier League players, that's when they really step up. So Josh Honahan want to be coming into the international camp on a high off the back of a couple good results for Shamrock Rovers. Coming into the game, obviously joint top off back-to-back wins. I saw them beat Drogheda last week, and very very strong. They look like the Shamrock Rovers we've seen over the last few years, over there 4 in a row. Jack Byrne now back in form. Strikers starting to hit a lot of goals. Graham Burke, Aaron Green. But we now have the new manager bouncy course. Waterford are on a pretty good run of form, 3 or 4 wins in a row. John Coleman now starting off his reign last week with a win. So Rovers won't have it all their own way. Paul Jammond back amongst the goals the last couple of weeks too. But just on Derry,
Well, Liam Boyce, we're talking about strikers, but Liam Boyce, international striker, who has, again, struggled probably the first few weeks with fitness, but probably found it the last couple of weeks.
it was a tricky start to the season for Derry City. A lot of questions being asked, busy transfer window, a lot of players to gel, but in a league where no one seems to be putting an extended run together so far. They've 5 wins and 6 coming into this, joint top on goal difference, Shamrock Rovers. But we all know the problems Drogheda can pose you, especially Drogheda being at home for this. They have picked up a couple of really good results over the last couple of meetings against Derry. So Drogheda's obviously start the season has been absolutely brilliant, but they'll want to sustain that coming up to the international break. They won't want to drop off. I know in the league it's incredibly tight, just 6 points separating first from 8th.
But you can see that with the other game we'll talk about, Galway and United against Sligo Rovers and Galway, who a couple of weeks ago were very near the top, and then I think once they went from 1st to 7th at one stage. But I suppose it sums up how quickly it changes that Moses Dyer was this week named the Soccer Writers Player of the Month for the goals he's got. But it's been a difficult couple of weeks for Galway in terms of results, and I suppose they will look at Sligo Rovers, bottoms club, as a game they need to bank some points. To bank some points for that difficult May period.
I know there wasn't much in the game at all. I watched it last Saturday night, losing to Bohemians 1-0. The late goal, Lys Mousset. There'll be pressure on Sligo it's the busiest period of the season now, this April-May period coming into the international break, coming up to the halfway point. They'll want to bridge that gap just a little bit and not fall too far behind. But Galway United, brilliant start to the season for them, but it just shows you the difference 2 or 3 games can make, and we're expecting the league hoping for the league to settle down. Well, probably not hoping, but the expectation is the league will settle down, but it shows no signs of doing that so far. I know there was a thing doing the rounds last week on Easter Monday at 5:30. Galway, I think, were joint top, and then a couple of days later down 6th, 7th. It just shows the difference 2 or 3 results can make. So I was speaking to Moses Dyer, John Caulfield this week, and they'll be wanting to come into international break, bit of momentum back, bit of results back. And Moses Dyer, obviously brilliant April for him, 4 goals, player of the month. And he'll want to get back on the score sheet now this weekend.
Well, that's our look ahead to this weekend's action. Of course, as usual, we'll have the usual live updates, match reports, analysis, and the Irish Independent across the weekend.